Go to wix.com/go/simplehistory to create a website now. What simple invention ended the Wild West? In the mid-1800s in America, the West was untamed. But the same invention that would devastate the battlefields of World War I and imprison people in camps in the 20th century would eventually change that. Its infamous nicknames were the thorny fence or the devil's rope. This was barbed wire. The first practical barbed wire came from Michael Kelly from New York in 1868. Others tried to patent their versions as well, but the most definitive design was patented on November 24, 1874, by Joseph Glidden, who was a farmer. His version was sturdier than the others. It consisted of one wire holding sharp metal barbs along its length. A second, barbless wire, was twisted around this first wire, thus doubling its strength and stopping it from sliding around. In the same year that it was patented, 32 miles or 51 kilometers of wire was produced. This solved the problem for farmers in the Wild West, as it was difficult to settle the land, which the Homestead Act of 1862 had enabled. Before barbed wire, the West was better suited to cowboys or cattlemen who followed the law of the open range, which meant they could graze freely where they liked. Without protection via fences, their cattle would trample and eat farmers' crops with ease, so establishing a farm was impossible. Barbed wire solved this problem for farmers. Before barbed wire, wooden fences were used. However, this proved expensive and difficult to build because lumber was in short supply. Building walls out of rocks was also difficult as stone was scarce as well. Even thorn bush hedges to put off cattle were used, but they grew too slowly. All of these solutions did not hold up well against extreme weather. A pre-barbed wire fence was also ineffective because there was nothing to keep cattle at a distance, so when they pressed against it, it just broke. John W. Betamillion Gates promoted the barbed wire in Texas, describing it as lighter than air, stronger than whiskey, cheaper than dust. It is said that he made bets to see if a Texas longhorn could trample past the barbed wire. Initially, it seemed like a fragile fence to the spectators, but the longhorns couldn't break past it, which convinced people to buy this new, revolutionary product. The demand skyrocketed. The use of barbed wire spread fast, and because it dramatically changed the West, caused a lot of conflicts. Cattle that got too close to the barbed wire were wounded and often died. Access to grazing areas and water was now very difficult, and barbed wire fences were even placed on public land. When barbed wire was put up by larger-scale cattlemen, smaller-scale cattlemen cut it to get access to grazing land and water. Armed gangs were often employed to cut the wire at night and left warnings against rebuilding. Sometimes this ended up in violent shootouts. Things got so bad that fence cutting was soon made a felony. Native Americans called it the devil's rope, as the barbed wire enabled farmers to finally stake out their property, which had actually been Native American territory. With barbed wire, cattle could be confined to designated areas while keeping other cattlemen's animals away, so cowboys were no longer needed to handle and control cattle. The open range was now closed. Barbed wire was an invention that changed the Wild West, and you can change the internet with Wix. Wix lets you create a site that will help you get your name, project, or business out into the world. Go to wix.com/go/simplehistory to create a professional website regardless of your skill level. Wix has over 500 templates and will make your site responsive for mobile phones with solutions for e-commerce, music, hotels, events, restaurants, and more. Build your own website and support the Simple History channel by going to wix.com/go/simplehistory.